while Elizabeth has flaunted her illegal gains over the world, um, and I'm the one that's the real monarch, and I've put all this up prior over and over again. My father's Edward VIII, a double, married Wallace Simpson. He never had anything to do with it. There's more than one double. Became the illegal Duke and Duchess of Windsor and took down my father Edward VIII with character assassination and total lies. Who was married to my mom, Claudia Ruth O'Keefe Windsor, school teacher, sister to artist Georgia O'Keefe from Madison, Wisconsin. I'm going to say this, and then I'm going to skip to the last part here. I was writing about mind control murders, the Tesla files that were stolen back 76 till I was almost killed in 81, April Fool Day. This has all been one big joke that you can kidnap me, install Elizabeth, her father, kill my father, assassinated him. They took him out, and he was still married to my mom, Claudia Ruth O'Keefe, October, and they were alive the 20th of 86 when I came to Roanoke. He didn't abdicate. He was forced out. Never married Wallace, the double did. They're Wallace and the doubles buried at Frogmore, Windsor. He died in 72. I may be being redundant now. This is my father, Edward VIII. This is Uncle George, who was made king. Was illegal, Elizabeth and the whole lineage there. William and Kate and Charles and Meghan and Harry. So anyway, here's George, the illegal, the brother that sold out my father and helped kidnap me with the Kennedys, who was made ambassador by Roosevelt. 36, same year my father became king. The irony of it all. Bilderbergers, Rockefellers, Rothschilds, Roosevelt, the Kennedy clan. This is 1939 when I was born, and they're at Hyde Park, and they're planning my kidnapping in 41. JFK and the Kennedys did help in bringing me to the United States, to Moulton, Alabama, giving me another name, and I'm going to jump to this. I was doing about mind control murders, 76. Larry Flint was shot in Lawrenceville, Georgia. This is getting a little worn here, I think. He says here that Larry McDonald had to do with his shooting, and Thomas Murphy and etc. cover-up kid from Georgia. But it's the Illuminati that are into programming, and you can create an illness or cure it from the Tesla files. It's taken from the Tesla files, and I'm writing about it in the ongoing murders. Is how the Virginia Tech next door was done, and well, look at all of them that have been done. Mind control can be done in mass now. You can place chips in people. By the way, this is just something somebody brought to me when I was delegated to the Appalachian Trail, starving and freezing. Well, I guess that started in about 86 when I came here. I couldn't, well, I was looking for a home, a place to be, and I was shut down. But a church sent this up, and I wish I'd kept the whole book and didn't. A church here sent it up by someone to give to me and said, this is what I've been telling about. Well, it's implantable. This is by Jim or Tex Mars. I can't remember which one. They're related, I believe. They write about similar subjects. It's about implantable biochips. This is what I was telling about, the cashless electronic debit. I didn't really know it was going to lead to my finding out about my kidnapping and the Illuminati, who is the ones doing this, the chipping. The biochip will be the agency of which all financial transactions are registered. Without it, no transactions of any kind will be permitted, etc., etc. No shelter, no food, no income. A new world order. No one will be excluded from having to take this mark without facing the death penalty. So they let you know they're putting chips in you then. So anyway, they mention here Timothy McVeigh said that the U.S. Army implanted a computer chip in his buttocks. He was put to death. I already had him listed that when this book was, I was telling about when this book, I'm just going to try to put this up here. I think I've shown the pictures and I'm not going to show anymore. Let me see if I can put this in here and finish it without my face, nose being the only. Oh, great. Here I go. Let me see if this is going to go up. Probably not. I'm not going to do this again. I'm going to try it, and that's it. I did want to put this up. Oh, my father would not take orders from the Illuminati, Freemasons. They took him down with character assassination. And today I'm reading in the Something Express out of the UK that there's new something that my father was, King Edward VIII, was taken down not because he married Wallace Simpson. Well, he didn't, a double did. And he was married to my mom and remains so. But because he was a Nazi sympathizer. Oh my goodness. Well, I, like the Germans, they come over here and help save my life. The Brits are responsible for hanging in there with all else. My God, they were trying to save the UK, the British Empire, and wow. And they kidnapped the Queen, and that's me, and took down my father, Edward VIII, and my mom, Claudia Ruth O'Keefe, sister artist Georgia O'Keefe from Madison, Wisconsin. So when you bring in Meghan Markle, who married Harry, or supposedly they're married, and supposedly that's not them playing a movie role, it would be nice if it were to show how that I have been treated, and because of them kidnapping me and them flaunting the money, Elizabeth and Company, and she works for the Illuminati. She's listed as working for the Illuminati, being a part of it, and one of the highest ranking members. All the presidents have been able to go to the Windsor Castle or Buckingham Palace and stay and talk and visit with Elizabeth and Philip and their family. Obama did. Took little George a rocking horse on his birthday. So where am I going with this? I'm about to sign off here, at least for today. Oh, I'm probably getting nowhere. The United Nations came into power because they took my father down. And the UK was invaded. And I want to ask this, for those who get their feathers ruffled at me telling the truth. Why are there military bases, the United States military bases, underground at the UK? It's like taking over Washington, D.C. If you can gain control of that way, you gain control of the United States and then everything therein. Well, that's your United Nations that did it after you took down my dad. Handed over, and was trying to think of the country just off Africa. And that a lady lived next door to me a few years back, and her family was military, and her husband had died, and we became kind of friends, and she was talking about, she knew all about me, or a lot, I won't say all, but she knew about me being kidnapped, who I am, she never doubted it, and about the takeover of Great Britain, and her husband, of course, was in the military here in the United States. And she was sitting there just as my living conditions were bad then. But she had no qualms about telling about her husband, them going from country to country and living military style, and him being in this country, and she was there too. And it was a British colony then, or territory. I don't know if it still is. And the United States was putting radar up. So I'm just giving you. They made the United Kingdom fight against itself. The British fight against themselves. There was an Area 51, still is, in Australia, plus all the other military. There's bases all over Germany, all over everything in this world, and it now belongs to has become the United Nations out of New York City, where the Rockefeller headquarters is. And if people rather hate me, and some get really nasty, and there's been some good people on YouTube and Facebook, and I'm not lumping them into this mess. I want to read you, and I meant to do, I'm not sure this is all that I wanted to put up, but it was out of Wikipedia, which is about to go under, I understand. They need donations. The specific or special committee, this is the United Nations, on decolonization, maintains the United Nations list of non-self-governing territories, which identifies areas the United Nations believe are colonies. The decolonization started in 1945 till 1997. Got it? This is after they took my father down, kidnapped me in 41. And decline of the British Empire. It's what they put here. The United Nations sitting up there controlling everything. And what else? Oh, the Secret Service is 92, when I'd taken the book, a letter from the FBI, and almost been killed. The hell that I went through. I'd even worked for the district attorney at 80 in Huntsville after that had been done to me. Shouldn't have lived. I took the book with a letter from the FBI, and where I had sent the book to publishers, and I hadn't found out or able to remember my real name then. I hadn't been in this campaign. That happened, later the next year it happened. But anyway, I took it to Reagan, assigned it into the executive mailroom there. I don't know if it's still there or not, outside the White House. And lo and behold, so you couldn't misjudge it. It was packaged fine, the book, the letters inside. I had a letter on the outside, secure, handed it to him, FBI, from them, ongoing investigation, national security involved, signed by the U.S. Attorney Harper and Assistant U.S. Attorney Baker, James Baker. Not the James Baker, oddly enough, that was working in the White House for Reagan. Still alive. He worked for the Bushes. I'm not sure he worked for Reagan. He worked for the Bushes. Anyway. So now then, I log it in. You can't not see it. And it was logged in. And that big book there, you have to sign. And guess who came out and took it? What was his name? Ron Reagan? No, that was the younger. This is the adopted Reagan. That's the talk show host. Reagan's adopted son. I gave it to him. It was logged in. He had a lapel with his name on it. And what happened to me when I left there and ended up back in Atlanta on the street, and what had been done to me, just that segment. So, I mean, they just stripped me of everything. The book, besides what they did to me, letters, everything I had on me. No more FBI letters. Even my bank was taken, where I'd paid on it and kept it to date. No matter what, I'd always paid for the box at the Bert Lance on the bank. He was Jimmy Carter. I don't know. I still hope Jimmy Carter was the good guy. I know he appointed Reverend Andrew Young, what a joke, a sick joke it is, as ambassador to the UN, the very people I'm talking about, the Illuminati. So you go from there. But anyway, the Secret Service came down, when I was simply trying to, I had walked, and I had all this done to me. I'd walked to Cobb County Police Department and wanted to file to make my husband, to enforce the divorce agreement, where I would at least get a little money to get me off the street, a room to live in. Well, lo and behold, what showed up, first of all, the police down there introduced me to what did they call him? Inspector. Well, I didn't know they were called inspectors, but anyway, he took me back there and he was going to fill out this thing, and supposedly to get my divorce enforced. And he started asking me, "Are you sure this is your name? And are you sure?" He'd talk about Peggy Childers, asking me that. And I said yes. And far as I knew at the time, couldn't remember it was. And I wouldn't dare have told him different with all that happened anyway. I'm glad I didn't now. Anyway, he said, what color are your eyes? Are you sure they're blue? Well, I thought, what kind of, what's going on? About that time, he went back to his computer in the back, and he come back and said, "Well, the Secret Service want to talk to you." I thought, oh, golly, oh, gee, what have I done now? I'm not going to tell you all they did to me. It stripped me of everything, and that's just that part of this. In 82, it gets worse and worse, if it can get worse. Let me put it that way. Anyway, I bet this is not going up. I'm going to shut up because I know people hear me outside here, and nobody likes to hear this, okay? They think it's not going to happen to them, and I'm not sure here this, but I just... Okay, so let me finish this. Okay, what's the Secret Service want with me? So they come out, and they come in there and talk. It's Phil Cox and Caul. Now, all this, when I dropped this off with a letter from the FBI and everything, now, the world needs to know just that segment that was done to me en route from Washington, walking with the bag with my book in it and the letters from the FBI, and I had two, by the way, and et cetera, some other stuff. Okay, I'm walking with it, and what happens to me in the Caul in October, mid-October? Okay, I did try to call my ex-husband, who's been it gets weird. He should have been arrested on one hand. He gave me the lab report where they tried to kill me. They wouldn't give it to me or anybody, but he walked in and got it and brought it out and gave it to me. So I gave this report was in this mess that was turned over, a lab report where I'd done the book, the letter from the FBI and all this. Thank God I didn't tell them my real name then. Anyway, the Secret Service came, and they had called my husband, ex-husband, who, according to all this, should have been locked up too. You wonder whose side he's on here. And it wasn't funny. If I didn't have humor, I couldn't live. And I'm going to get off here in a minute. It's probably going off anyway. What are they doing calling him? I simply turned stuff over, had a letter from the FBI, had all of it legal, didn't bother anybody. And look what happened to me. And that's just a month or two out of my life. So anyway, they show up when I'm trying to get my divorce enforced so I could get off the street and stop what was happening to me. They show up, and they don't say very much, but they didn't even look old enough to be Secret Service. I guess they looked in the early 30s. Maybe that's old enough to be Secret Service. But anyway, what do? They turned me back out. And as they walked out behind me, I said, I have nowhere to live. That's why I had gone there, to get a little bucks so I could. And they said, you can go. What did they say? I wrote that down. You can go